After promising to arrest Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York City, socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani was forced to admit in a pretty embarrassing video that he does not have the authority to do so because he's just a mayor. In other words, exactly what we told him last night on this show earlier today. He dodged a question about when he realized he didn't have the authority. Take a look.
Exactly did your administration tell you that this was not possible? Because when you floated this idea last year, legal experts all came out and said this is not a possible thing that the city can do.
Yesterday, I was on Staten Island for a meeting with faith leaders, and a young man from Gaza attended that meeting as part of an organization that houses refugees on Staten Island. He did not have one of his arms. He was one of the many children that have been maimed by this genocide.
Now, the truth is he knew the entire time and was simply lying. Now, of course, others on the radical left are supporting his calls for Prime Minister Netanyahu's arrest. Squad member, Congresswoman Tlaib, calling him, telling him to call her if he needs any help. Take a look.
Ways.
Obsessed with him. He's doing a great job.
Well, he's exploring ways to arrest Netanyahu. What do you think about that?
Arrest him. He's a war criminal.
Does he even have the authority to explore the arrest of
I don't know
Netanyahu?
if it applies to citizens' arrest. If he needs help, tell him to call me.
What, a citizen's arrest? Good luck trying to get within 1,000 yards of him. They're not only communists, but they are simply dumb. The party isn't even trying to hide their anti-Israel agenda anymore. Just listen to what radical Congressman Ro Khanna said Democrats will do if they do one day regain control of Congress. Take a listen.
And we're going to push to end aid to Israel that committed a genocide in Gaza.
Here with reaction, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. You know, Senator, you said over and over again, you're not leaving the Democratic Party. You have also said that your long concern has been the party will turn their back on Israel. You said that is moral clarity for you, and you said, except for that one condition. Is this the issue that could tip the balance and you could no longer be associated with this party anymore?
Yeah, I've been very clear, and I've been warning for actually years that the Democratic Party is going to continue to be more and more anti-Israel. And now people like whether Mamdani or some of the other freak shows that are winning some of these primaries are now hostile and intensely anti-Israel. You know, really just raging anti-Semitism in a lot of the statements that these people have made right now. And when now you have the mayor of a city, you are a mayor, dude. You're a mayor. You can fix a pothole. You can take out the trash, but you can't order people to arrest anybody any more than I could, or I could have him arrested if he goes to Pennsylvania. It's a joke, and he's a clown. And now he also said that Netanyahu is not welcome in New York. And you can't say that any more than I could say, Mayor, you're not welcome in Pennsylvania. So sit down. You're a clown, and you are just going to pander to the fringe. And that's part of your base. And I know you're angry at Netanyahu because he killed a lot of people you admire, whether like at Sinwar or Nasrallah or al-Khamenei in Iran. That's the guy that will only criticize the prime minister or Israel, but he never criticizes Hamas. He's never criticizing Hezbollah or Iran. I've never heard the mayor say and condemn Iran for killing 30, 40,000 of its young people just asking for democracy in their nation.
If you look at the UN, and over the years they've had the leaders with the worst human rights abuses and records show up. Never has a Democrat ever called for the ICC to charge them. Never, ever. I've often said that the UN is, routinely anti-Semitic, anti-American. So Mamdani makes this. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and I would remind people too, the head of the ICC, to remind people that America is not part of that kangaroo court. Neither is Israel as well too. But now the leader of that was now just taken out for sexual abuse, just like P. Hustle too, in Maine, and now he has no standing, none of it. So that's the kind of people that Mamdani backed, whether it's P. Hustle in Maine or the head of the ICC, but so that's part of the thing. And now the UNRWA, now that was absolutely rife with Hamas people too. They finally realized that. So I vote to shut that down. The UN is intensely anti-Israel, as it's always been, and now that's become more and more documented.
As you affectionately call him, Pete Hustle, I mean, his replacement doesn't seem a whole lot better. Like most Democrats in Maine, they were unwilling to criticize Graham Plattner. Do you envision maybe even supporting Susan Collins?
No, I'm staying out of it. But what I'm very clear, like there are so many Democrats that rallied behind P. Hustle in Maine, and now you have Democrats I guess he's not a Democrat, but he's a socialist. But people like Sanders really made his candidacy possible. And as more and more things came out and the more absurd things that he said, or now it's clear that he is roughing up ex-girlfriends, he dismiss it or defend that kind of abhorrent behavior. So now he's participating in the other train wreck in Michigan, another intensely anti-socialist. They're not Democrats. Now, we have a lot of great Democrats, whether it's Ossoff or it's either the President Polis out in Colorado. A lot of great Democrats, but these people are not Democrats. They are just the kinds of people that are anti-Israel and anti-American, and I'll call them out as a Democrat, and I don't know why more people won't.
How do you see this playing out? You got 35 now primary winners that identify with Mamdani. How does this play out? This is the most radicalized Democratic Party I've ever seen in my lifetime. What impact do you see it having on the midterms?
Well, what I'm saying, it's like look at the kind of people that were winning. We had the one in Colorado and the one in New York, and then across the country. And to look at El Sayed, he calls Israel as a rogue state, and he's equated Hamas and Israel's government as well. That's their feature. They're running on just below the surface of just Jew hating, and it's absurd what people are running on that. When now you are threatening to arrest the democratic leader of Israel in your city, that you have no authority, and we are not a part of the ICC anyway. Why are you staying in that lane? And I'm like, sit down and do your job, because you have plenty of problems in New York to address that, because they know that's what pays the bills for the fringe now hating on Israel, whether it's in Michigan or whether it's Colorado or in New York. That's become the feature of that fringe and the socialists and communists. And now you have Piker, in those Mao pajamas at that event, and he was celebrating Mao. The guy that was responsible for 40 million deaths in China. So now we have Democrats, doing events with these people. Jay Street now, he's hosting him for events. Now this is part of what's happening. As a Democrat, I'm going to call that out, and I'm going to proudly stand with regular, reasonable, common sense kinds of Democrats, because calling what it is, I think that's our duty here.
You're the outlier, Senator. You're it. As Senator Cruz said, they'd be wise to listen to you, but I don't see it happening. Senator Fetterman, we always appreciate you being on board. All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.